My favorite go-to-market experts, AI engineers, entrepreneurs, agency owners, as well as other people who are just curious on what the hell is going on the market right now on Tuesday, August 18th, 2026. Welcome to the Instantly Show, the daily show on AI go-to-market and the strategies driving real revenue growth. This is going to be a quicker one compared to our hour and a half episodes that we had yesterday as well as Friday. We do have a Paolo Trivellato as a guest. He's the founder of Starborn, and they run a LinkedIn content for B2B founders. In under 3 years, they've added more than $4 million in tracked revenue for over 50 agencies and software companies and generated 50 million impressions for clients in the last year alone. The body is only 18 years old. He's running a $1.4 million year business. And this is what we're going to be talking about now. There has been a lot of changes in the LinkedIn algos. There's a lot of talk if the founders and the brands should do the organic, should do the ads, what platform is it, and also is the LinkedIn only the platform for the people who are selling to other agencies, or this can be used across the variety of different markets. Now, this is the lineup that we are having. Now, I'm starting with the news. We have some interesting ones today. Then Paulo gonna come in. We're gonna talk about the different things. Certainly composing to the booked calls, and then gonna have the final thoughts. Now, this video is very interesting. So take a look at this machine running on a track. You can see it crushing to a wall. So Unitree showed off a new humanoid called Superman yesterday. Okay, it does look like a Superman. It hit 12.66 meters per second, which is about 28 miles an hour. And so that, like, for the comparison, so that like you guys understand how fast it is, the Usain Bolt, which is the fastest, the fastest human alive, means on the 100-meter distance, peak speed during his world record run in 2009 was 12.2. So the robot is basically faster. And this is the video that everyone kind of shares so that it falls afterwards. WisprFlow raised $280 million at a $2 billion valuation led by Manlo Ventures. That takes them to 361 million raised in total. And we are obviously very big fans of the WisprFlow on this show. This is a dictation tool, right? Like you talk, it types anywhere on your computer. People have now written 60 billion words with it, and it's used across almost all of the Fortune 500 and more than 10,000 companies. Yeah, this is kind of obvious. They do have competitors, but they are the biggest guys right now in the space. I am a big fan. Again, I've been already showing you off this. So I have this Razer mouse, and then when I click this little button, it actually, starts the dictation, and I just like increases my productivity by like 23 billion%, I think. So this is the real invention, guys, not your AI agents. This is the mouse with a shortcut and the WisprFlow. Now, here is the video that I think a lot of you can relate to.
Wow, no.
So, you work at your computer all day. So it is stressful, guys. Online entrepreneurship can be tricky. Okay, it can be tricky. I highly suggest everyone, including me, to take breaks to go off in the real world and do some interesting things. Now, I also have this video, and it's interesting. It has 2.4 million impressions, and you can see that these are these animals that are, you know, climbing the rocks. And what is interesting here is this is AI, right? But it's not obvious to a lot of people that it is. And the reason why is because there has been a lot of real footages of these guys that are like jumping on the rocks. And this is why a lot of people are making arguments that this is like the real animal, you know, that is like, that can do such things. Plus, you can see that it's really good in terms of the accuracy. Now, of course, like Buddy is jumping off the like 200-meter, you know, height. So I mean, I know that it's not real, but in terms of the accuracy, it's really good. Just shows off where we are all coming to. Google is buying data from a dead airline to train its AI. Spirit Airlines went bankrupt earlier this year. In the Chapter 11 filings, Google bid $10 million for the company's internal corporate data and its custom software. A Google spokesperson said data, quote, can be helpful in improving our products and AI models. They were specific about one thing, quote, we are buying the company's internal data and custom software, but we are not buying their customers or credit card information. Data is king to train the models, and the companies are ready to pay a lot of money for it. I would say the biggest news of the day, Cursor launched Origin, which is code hosting. So it's basically goes straight at GitHub. It does what you expect: repos, pull, request, code browsing, and it syncs both ways with GitHub. But the difference is that it builds specifically for agents first. Code review, merge, complex, all of it structured so that a machine can read it and act on it, not just a human. And the timing, this is why I caught this news. So like the timing is funny because yesterday, while GitHub was down, it was launched. I guess like an interesting coincidence. One developer posted, quote, GitHub really doesn't feel built for agent era. It goes down way too often, but until now, there haven't been many real alternatives. Now, the part to actually think about, this is the Cursor first big launch since SpaceX bought them for $60 billion, which we have reviewed yesterday, so that the deal was just finalized. And it shipped with no published policy on what Cursor does with your code. So be careful, guys. I think they are going to update it. I hope they're going to update the policy, but at least not for now. At least not for now. Anthropic's revenue run rate passed $65 billion at the end of July. Just so that you guys understand how fast it is, at the end of 2025, they were at 9 billion. Sometimes I look at these numbers and I can't believe it. Like, bro, like, what? Is it almost 7 times difference? It's ridiculous. I mean, 7x for such a big company. In May, they were at 47 billion. Now it's 65. So roughly doubled in 3 months and went up 7 times in about 7 months. They shared the numbers with investors, and it's landing right before the IPO. They're projecting around 190 to 200 billion dollars of revenue in 2028. That's crazy. And the IPO evaluation depends on what people believe those forecasts, but like, how can you not believe it? Look, my personal opinion is that I believe there should be a plateau at some point. Maybe it's like 50 billion, maybe it's like 100 billion. I don't know, but it cannot be always parabolic, but who knows? I don't know. There, like, AI is everywhere. This is the technology that we're all already using, will be using. Claude and Anthropic is at the edge of this thing. So, like, they're 1.5 trillion, and we've been already reviewing the news that no one seems to be selling it. So, do we think that this could be potentially at one point the biggest company in terms of capitalization in the world? We'll see. We'll see. Nike hit a 12-year low. Comparing to the news on Anthropic going parabolic, Nike going down, the stock is down 78% from its peak in 2021, and it was the worst performer in the Dow yesterday. So the China is the real problem. That's 8 quarters in a row of falling sales. Revenue down 11% for the year, and they own online direct sales down 29%. On the Hoka are talking the running market and inside China. So now, and also on top of that, starting January 2027, Nike is going to stop selling online through its big distribution partners in China and go direct instead. That's the same strategy that already failed for them in North America. JP Morgan says it could cost around $1 billion in revenue, and they downgraded the stock. Their chief accounting officer also resigned. Chief accounting officer, I don't think that this is the accounting problem, but guys, so like you didn't need to rehire the guy. So for that, but it's just interesting, right? So the company once revolutionized the industry and were a flagship, now going down. Now, look, do we believe that the products are worse than they were? I don't. I mean, I don't think so. Maybe. Like, maybe if we would talk with a specialist who's like reselling shoes and they can compare the quality, but just like how the world moves. But I like, again, the market expectations is not necessarily a great illustration of the product by itself, but rather the expectations that the market has for a company in terms of the revenue. So I don't know, just something to think about. Now, I do have great news for you guys. Do you want to make a few $100,000? If yes, listen up. Grok is running a competition, and there is $175,000 on the table. So the task is to make a scene from Odyssey using Grok Imagine to show off what its video and voice can do. First place is $100,000, second is $50,000, and third is $25,000. You enter by quoting their post. The rule obviously matters because the video has to be 3 to 5 minutes long with at least 1 minute of dialogue in English. The video is like the video and the characters has to be done through the Grok Imagine, but you can use other tools for editing, music, and sound. Submissions closed August 21st. Sad part, only for the US, only 18 and over. So check that before you spend a week developing a project. Now, by the way, I believe this is such an interesting strategy of showing off your product and giving away money. Now, for the first place, $100,000. It's not. It's a great amount, but like, think about this. Like, SpaceX, Grok, like 100K is nothing. Like, it's literally nothing. So why not to host these competitions every week? I think they will spend much more money on analyzing and making sure that all the submissions went through the Grok, and on top of that, making sure that it has some sort of objective metric to evaluate the videos? Because like how would you do that? Like, right? Maybe people, right? Like people can evaluate that because I've been subscribed to a few Telegram channels where they're having like different polls where, let's say, there's submissions and people, use a poll to vote for the best picture, for example. But now, again, this can be like you can buy the votes, right? Like you can do the bots. So I don't know. So most likely there should be like humans, not one. Is it going to be Elon every week is choosing a winner? But like again, Elon is not going to go through hundreds of thousands, not hundreds, like tens of thousands of videos or thousands of videos. So I don't know. So this is kind of my problem with that. But as a strategy, really, really good. And I think that we can all start and think about implementing something like this ourselves in our companies. Now, let me check if we have our guest today. Uh, Great. Give me 1 second. I just want to make sure that we are good to go with Paulo. Okay. We are live, guys. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Right now in the description, you will find a link to get an opportunity to sign up for our weekly newsletter where we share the go-to-market strategies, insights from the guest, as well as the discounts that you will not find anywhere else. We're not spamming your inbox and only deliver the most valuable information. So go in the description and sign up for it. Right now, my guest is Paolo Trivellato, founder of Starborn. They run LinkedIn content for B2B founders. They've added over $4 million in tracked revenue, and I like the tracked word, for 50 plus clients in under 3 years with 50 million impressions in the last year alone. His own agency is sitting at about $1.4 million a year, and every client came from organic content. And he's also 18 years old. Paulo, welcome to the show. Can you hear me? Can you see me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I appreciate the introduction, man.
What's up? What's up? Look, obviously you're running a pretty good size agency. You are 18. So I'm curious, do clients find out that you're that young before they pay you money or after?
It really depends. I think, I probably closed my first six figures with no camera and just like a baby picture of myself. Because I didn't want people, because I was like 15 or I was 16 or something, and I didn't want people to know my age. I think now that I'm a lot more confident and I have the results to show for it, I just like I speak and they know that I know what I'm talking about. I do still see sometimes there's people where I can tell that they're a bit like surprised or maybe they
Yeah.
don't trust me as much. It's not really what they expect. But now that I actually believe in myself and I have the results to show for it, it's been a lot easier.
I have a tricky question. I hear this a lot. Would love to know if you faced this objection in your career of people saying that the LinkedIn content is usually for marketers that are selling to marketers. This niche of coaches selling to coaches that sell to coaches, right? So, do you see LinkedIn as a channel to produce the content being good for variety of industries, even the old schooler ones, or there are certain specifics that you should focus on only?
The only industry I'd say that you cannot really target on LinkedIn is like local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, like basically everyone in the professional world has a LinkedIn account in like the first world at least. In terms of the marketers to marketers kind of point, obviously there is a market for that. That's one side of it. But as you said, like we're working with people where we sell to B2B SaaS, we sell to B2B agencies, we worked with um, course sellers, coaches, like we worked with a range of different people, but also our clients, they might target D2C brands. We work with people which target apps. We've had successful people which target e-com brands even. which I was told when we first started it wouldn't work. But now that same client's generated multi six figures in the last year just through LinkedIn. So it's like it can definitely work, um, as long as the market is actively on LinkedIn and they use the platform. The only thing I would say is obviously a big percentage of users are marketers.
Hmm.
So if you do sell to them, it can be one of the more lucrative niches, but it's definitely like not the case where that's, the only market that's available to you.
And you've been in the industry for a while. Do you find that people tend to consume content more right now on LinkedIn compared to 2 or 3 years ago? And this being a very good point for posting, because for you to post, get viral, find the clients, the other side has to consume the content, has to be on the feed. And what in general you feel is different right now compared to the platform like 2 years ago?
Yeah. I don't think I mean, I don't have the numbers on, if there's more people
Yeah.
consuming it. I don't know if it's been a huge difference, but I do think it's still a great time now. I don't like some things have definitely changed. So for example, AI's gotten a lot better, where it can save you a lot of time writing content. But the truth is, I mean, we still have a direct, real, like in-person writer for each client. So it's like we still need human input. We built out like the most, maybe not the most extensive, but some really extensive Claude skills to automate a lot of the different process that we run, but we're still not able to like fully, automate everything. So I would say what's changed is that now the moat is about your own proprietary information. So it's what value and what lessons can you give that nobody else can give. And then obviously as a bare minimum, your content needs to be high quality. It needs to sound unique to you. It needs to sound nothing like AI with no AI tells. Um, and then mixing that in with the proprietary data, that's how you're going to actually win.
Let me challenge you a little bit.
Go for
Let's
it.
skip the part where beginners use AI to write the content. Let's say me or you, we can create a perfect prompt. We can create the guardrails and the list of hundreds of thousands potential scenarios of how AI writes content, the way it uses the different phrases, the way it uses the different words, the way it constructs the sentence, and say, hey, don't use that, use something different, right? So we can technically build an agent that would, in theory, write like a human, but you still say that you have human writers. So what I'm trying to understand is where is the leverage then, right? Of course, the proprietary data, I get that as a content, as a like backend information, but what else?
Yeah, so there's a few more things I would say. So I guess the whole thing that we didn't talk about is like the whole strategy component. So
Hmm.
understanding like what types of posts to do each week and having it develop and evolve and change. And maybe AI will eventually get there, but that's a whole thing where it's one thing to just like create content that is not going to sound like AI. It's another thing to create content where it's going to build enough trust for someone to pay you $10,000 or $20,000, if we're talking like high ticket B2B deals. The other thing I would say is there's this whole other piece which comes to like idea generation in terms of like trend jacking. So a really, really big thing about going viral now is about being fast. And it's about how fast can you be to new news, to reports. And I guess you could build some AIs to scrape that sort of stuff, but still having the right like filtering system and having the understanding of the industry and the experience that you or if it's the founder would have, they'll be able to pick out the ones which the market would be more receptive to, if that makes sense.
It does. It does make sense. Now we are, guys, going to get a little break. Don't turn it off for about 20 seconds. Okay, guys, and we are back. Now, Polo, you are on both LinkedIn and X. So, what is the point of you running two platforms? And do you recommend people to do the same thing and simply choose one, the primary one, but then repost everything on another one? Or there should be different strategies?
Yeah, well, my whole idea is, I mean, fundamentally, different people use different platforms a lot. So, for example, for me, I do consume on LinkedIn, but to be honest with you, for me, Twitter content is just way more engaging. I'm not so much in the corporate world, and I prefer like reading Twitter content. So, I think there's LinkedIn people, I think there's Twitter people, and there's also YouTube people, and we're actually starting to scale that as well. So, actually, it's three platforms now. I would say that's one thing. There's obviously going to be some overlap, but there is going to be different audiences that consume different platforms. The other thing is it's kind of just about like expanding my digital surface area a little bit. So I just want people to see my name as much as possible. It's kind of like what Roy Lee talks about, like mindshare,
Yeah.
where it's just about getting my name out there, getting my brand out there, and building trust with people as much as I can. So it's even just from like a content volume perspective. If I can do one post a day on LinkedIn, three tweets a day, and then two YouTube videos a week or one YouTube video a week, like just from a volume perspective, I'm also just expanding my reach a lot further. So that's kind of the point. And then when it comes to repurposing content, if we're talking LinkedIn to X
Yeah.
or vice versa, you could copy paste, but the thing is that that would be a very low effort way of doing it. What I would recommend is instead optimizing like the format. So the fundamental idea, if your ICP is going to be receptive to it either way, which it should be, then the fundamental idea can like stay the same, but it's about changing the format. So for example, on X, you can be a lot more derogatory, you can be a lot more direct, snappy. Maybe we need less fluff. On LinkedIn, it might honestly be too far and too polarizing where people don't believe it. They don't take you seriously. So on LinkedIn, you need to maybe reduce like the polarizing. You need to make it a bit simpler. I think those sort of voice changes. And then I would also say with the format. So like on LinkedIn, often using infographics works really well. I'm starting to see it actually on X a lot more now recently. So that maybe even works on X, but on LinkedIn, like images are super important. Whereas on X, image or not, like the post has a very like pretty much the same chance of doing well. So that's probably what I would say are the main things. But that's kind of just a high level
Do you
overview.
feel that the videos right now on LinkedIn perform relatively better compared to, image posts or the graphics? So should you even bother trying to create the videos solely for LinkedIn?
I think the one thing that I like with videos on LinkedIn is actually long form videos, and not many people talk about it, but like re-uploading or just uploading a loom or some sort of valuable long form 10 to 15-minute video where you're breaking down results and you're giving value. I'm not really a fan of the short form video. I haven't really seen anyone that's actually generated like meaningful revenue from it. I think if
Yeah.
you want brand awareness, that's fine, right? But it's just not gonna it's not worth it. And I would rather have a long form video that only gets like 1,000 impressions or 500 impressions, but I get people to watch like 5 minutes of me talking, showing them the process, and having that much more. The audience would trust me a lot more, basically, rather than 100 people which just see like 30 seconds of me talking about like some broad, um, yeah, random topic, basically.
That's great. Look, right now, we will be playing a little game with you. So let me share my screen. And don't worry, I am pretty sure you will get the whole point. Now, on the screen, you can see the red flag and the green flag. So the game is very simple. So let's pretend that you are on the first call with your client. And the client is telling you a phrase, and the phrases are going to be displayed here. So you should classify this as a green flag client, meaning a good client to continue or a red flag. Of course, there are certain, criterias and, specifics to that, but would want you to classify that. Let's do it first and then discuss the choices. You ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. I would say for this one, we tried LinkedIn before and it didn't work.
Yeah,
Um, to be honest with you, most of the people which say this haven't actually tried it properly. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily anything that like we can't solve by implementing a better process. So I guess it's a green flag because it means that they see the value in it. They just haven't executed it in the right way.
that's great. Our buyers are not
Our
on
buyer
LinkedIn.
That is probably a red flag. I mean, if they're not on LinkedIn, we can't reach them. But sometimes it is also just a limiting belief. Like sometimes I get people saying, "Oh, ecom brands aren't on LinkedIn." In reality, we've got people that are actually like getting leads of that exact ICP. So I would say if I can find like three profiles which are doing, an estimated 100,000 plus impressions a month through on LinkedIn with your like targeting your ICP, then um, I would 100% like be confident that you can target them. So I would say, I guess it's a red flag technically, but
But it
um,
depends. I get
it
it.
could still
That's
happen.
great. That's great. How many followers will I get after working with you?
I would say so. I mean, how many followers will I get? I understand some people want to know the expectation, and I think that's very fair. I think sometimes if somebody expects me to have like to a T exact number which they are going to achieve in like the first month, I think that is like, just
Red
unrealistic.
flag.
But if somebody's just asking in terms of expectations, I mean, it's not necessarily an issue. I would, if there was like an orange flag, I would put it there, like maybe be cautious, but
So it
not
depends,
the
right?
not the end
Because
of the world.
right, like when I read that, I classify it as a red flag because like they are coming to you for like a revenue, right? Like for the money and for like the reach, not necessarily like for the followers. But I agree. So this could be just a metric that they want to track. And I mean, it's not necessarily like a good metric, but this could be a valid question. So which one you want? Green or red?
I guess if we're going with they're coming on the call and they're supposed to care about revenue, and now they're asking me about like a kind of irrelevant KPI, I
Yes.
would say a red flag. I agree with you on that.
Can you guarantee results?
Yeah. So with guarantees, it's not something where I would say it's not, somebody might not say it inherently, like, because sometimes people just say it because they want to see what they can, get. If they can get a deal, they want to ask it. The only thing with guarantees is usually the prospects that ask for it are the same prospects that maybe they don't believe in their own ability to like close the clients, right? And then they want me to guarantee revenue. If it was a guarantee where it's a metric fully on our side and it's a niche which we've done before and I'm confident in, then I will tell them straight up. And if it's really a deal breaker, we can figure something out. But to be honest with you, most of the time the prospects which ask this, it is a red flag.
Yeah, right, right. Great. Guys, we are, sorry, gonna take one more break. Don't click off. Guys, we are back. Okay. Now, can you guarantee the result? This most likely a red flag, but again, like it does kind of depend on what type of the service that you offer and what was the initial, message, the hook that got you in, right, into the pipeline. I want to approve every post before it goes out when the client says that.
So I don't think it's bad to want approvals, and I would encourage it because I think it will help us actually create better content. But we have obviously dealt with clients where they're hyper analyzing every single little detail, and they maybe have this understanding of what they think good LinkedIn content is, which is maybe actually not so close to the truth. So I would say, again, it's maybe something where I would be cautious. I completely understand somebody who would want to approve every post, at least in the beginning. But it is definitely something where I'd be cautious. Like, is this person, yeah, basically, time be spending?
Okay, guys. Sorry, we are having some technical difficulties, and I appreciate you waiting. So please bear with us. Guys, we are back. So, Paula, can you please repeat a little bit when the client says that they want to approve every post that goes out? We classified it as a red flag usually. And why is that?
Yeah, so the thing about somebody who wants to approve every post is that it kind of has the indication that they might be like over analyzing
Hmm.
every single little thing we do, and they might believe that they know LinkedIn content better than us. And that's kind of the one issue where I'd be a little bit worried. We do have clients where they approve every post and they just do, like, they give the feedback on their expertise
Yeah.
on the right things, but they don't get in the way of like us trying to get them the best results. So in that case it's fine, but I would say it's a red flag where I would maybe watch out for somebody who's saying that and try to understand, like, is this person actually going to take a lot more time than a regular client?
Right, right. And because again, so some people and some businesses might want to improve that for like illegal purposes and make sure that, it's fully aligned. So this is fine, but generally it's a red flag, which is great. Now, the next one, I don't have time for calls. So can you handle it for us? So is this the green flag or a red flag?
um so they want us to handle the sales calls, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, red flag. I don't think we need to explain that one.
Okay. My competitors is doing this and it is working. So they want to basically replicate their success.
That's completely a green flag, because if there's other people doing it and it's working, it's going to give us more ammo to go off of. Whereas if it's a niche where
Yeah.
nobody's doing it, we need to be the first ones to figure it out. We need to be the ones that just test anything and everything and hope that something works. So it's a lot easier to take formats that are already working in the same niche rather than taking them from new niches. It can still work, but it's just easier.
Great. Can we do 1 month and see how it goes and then pay?
Do you mind repeating that for me?
So, can we get 1 month free trial to see the results and then decide?
Yeah, no, that's also a red flag. The thing is, like, that's just a prospect who doesn't want to commit. If they don't want to commit, it just means they don't believe in you guys enough. And I would rarely ever see a free trial client like actually converting, even if you delivered the full service. I think the only thing I would do, or that it would ever make sense in some capacity, would be, oh, maybe they want to see like a couple, like a sample
Yeah,
strategy, or maybe they want to speak with me and get some ideas. So I've done that for some SaaS companies, and then they end up working with us, and that's good. But if you want me to actually go out of my way and create content and put time into like making content for you without anything in return, it's just a little bit of a one-sided deal, to be honest.
pretty fair.
So red flag.
The person says, honestly, I think LinkedIn is cringe.
Um, I mean, I would just tell them like, I don't really like is it cringe or like do you
Why
want to
they're
make
on the call
money?
with
That's
you
the
then? Like this is the question.
yeah, like okay, yeah, like I get people that do say, "Oh, maybe I don't use LinkedIn, or maybe I find some of the content cringe," and it's just like, okay, well, do you care more about being cringe, or do you care more about like generating revenues? Very, very simple.
So green or red?
Um, I would say, I guess let's say red.
Say
Let's say
red.
red.
Um, so when they are reaching out to you and they say that we already have someone doing content in house, so how can you help?
Um, Honestly, like I'm not sure if this is controversial or not, but I would say probably that's a green flag.
Hmm.
If they have someone doing it in house, like they see the value in it, and they probably already have like a big library of previous content or like a strategy they've made. It actually makes our lives a lot easier if they've had an in-house content team. And a lot of the time we work alongside people who they used to have teams, and then maybe they just do the Twitter and then we do the LinkedIn. So like stuff like that can actually work well because it will actually reduce the time that it takes to see results. So yeah, green flag for that one.
That's great. Look, thanks for playing the game. That's good. I do have one question related to what you have shared. A post with 40 likes closed $16,000 client, if I'm not mistaking anything. So, what was it?
Yeah.
And what was in the post?
So we were running, so this post, if I remember correctly, it was for a voice AI infrastructure client actually,
Hmm.
which is a very interesting niche because there's a lot of people posting about it.
Yep.
What we did with this client was actually a bit different to other people. We went really, really niche just to home services. They had already case studies, they had like a good service and a good sales process. They actually came from a sales background with running like big sales teams. So if we could get them meetings, then we would get them deals closed. In the post, it was actually super interesting. So what we did was we basically said, I remember the hook. It was like home services companies are losing X dollars a month on missed calls and like lost revenue, something like that. And then we said, while AI is handling it for 16K. So we literally had the price of their service in the hook of that post.
Ah,
And what we did is we just explained the math, and we literally just explained like, okay, look, this is how many missed calls you're getting. This is how many leads you're missing out on. We're literally going to build out the AI for a one-time fee, and then I'm sure there's like a small monthly maintenance retainer. And what happened is somebody tags their colleague in the comments, and I guess like they didn't say anything, but I guess it was kind of like check this out. And then they ended up booking a call just through the profile, and then they became a client. So it was actually a very different type of post to what you'd expect, but it was really just about going super deep on the pain point and like just clearly laying out like this is the ROI that you would get from the service. And it just makes it a complete no-brainer. Um, and also, like, at the same time, it is something where anyone who sees that post and they are interested in booking a meeting, like, they already know the price, they already know the ROI, like, they're gonna be pretty much ready to buy.
Right now, we are going to have a blitz, which is me shooting questions to you very fast, and you reply either fast or expand on your answer. Ready?
Um, what Okay, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Text post or a carousel?
Carousel.
Post daily or 3 times a week?
Daily.
Do hashtags still do anything? Would you let AI write a client post? But I guess you already answered that.
Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah,
Would
now
you
I can.
let AI write a client post? But I guess you already answered that.
Um, it just cut off again.
Yeah, sorry. Let's wait. Can you hear me now? One,
Yeah,
two,
I think
three.
so.
So I was asking
Yeah.
if you would let AI to write a client post.
Um, I I wouldn't just let AI write the whole post. No, I wouldn't.
Comment gate or link in the post. So should you post a link in the actual text of the post or should you put it in the comments?
Comment gate if it's a broader top of funnel lead magnet. I would do the link if it is a more bottom of funnel post where you're pushing to a calendar link from like a case study. And what I would do in that case is you don't want to post it first with the link, but you want to let it sit for about 3 to 4 hours. And then afterwards, you edit the post, you add the call to
Ah.
action with the link.
And I do have a follow-up question here. So does editing the post decrease the reach?
I think there was a stat which I saw someone who like spoke to the LinkedIn team. I mean, maybe they were lying, but from what I've seen, basically, you don't, if you edit it after 4 hours, then there's like no significant change in performance. And also with the LinkedIn algorithm nowadays, like posts have a bit of a longer lifetime. So even though you might think, oh yeah, it might get the majority of the engagement in the first 4 hours, you can also repost the post after you edit it, and it will give it like a small boost in impressions as well. So the
Hmm.
answer's it won't affect it if after 4 hours.
Interesting. Personal story or client results, which performs better?
If you want to grow the audience and maybe just get new followers, then personal. If you want to convert your existing audience and the bottom of funnel people that are interested in your service, then case study.
Biggest post in terms of the reach you have ever had?
1.6 million impressions, I think.
How many hours a day are you actually on LinkedIn?
Probably like one solid hour, like where I'm scrolling, ideating, and like writing as well. Um, and maybe also like talking to my team about it and just brainstorming in general. Usually that's where most of the LinkedIn time goes.
That's great. Look, I do have the last question, which is when it comes to the new LinkedIn algo that you talk a lot about, what would you say number one thing that people need to understand about it right now that they can start implementing into their strategy today?
Yeah. Specificity, I think is like one of the most key things. I'll explain what I mean by that. I mean, like, for example, like including numbers in your hook. Like it's historically, it's just always performed better. It's easier for people to understand.
Hmm.
Having a specific personal experience, personal story, client result, using that in your post is going to actually make you stand out. It's what we talked about with the proprietary data, and what is actually going to make you stand out from other people is being specific and using your own unique insights. I think something that kind of comes along with it is also like actionable, making your post actionable. I see a lot of people where they want to create a valuable post, but they just talk about it at like a high level, just the theory. If somebody can actually go in the next 24 hours and follow these steps that you have laid out and see some sort of return, or at least get the dopamine of the input, then they're going to build a lot more trust with you than just like, oh, I learned maybe a new concept today, and which they probably will forget after 30 seconds. So overall, that's probably what I'd say, like making it actionable and specific. And obviously, as a given right now, like there should be zero AI tells in your
Yeah,
posts. Like there should be zero.
obviously. Look, that was really good. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, Paulo underscore scales on X. And if you want to check out the services, then starbornai.com, or just search up my name on LinkedIn. And feel free to shoot me a DM if you have any questions about what we talked about. I'm happy to just, I love just giving value. And I try to follow like that Hormozy principle where like the more I give, I think the more I'm going to get. So I'll selfishly give you guys any value if you have any
You
questions.
heard him, okay? So please don't ignore that. We got his word on camera, so you can ask whatever you want, and he's gonna answer. Plus, we're gonna have the post obviously across all the socials, so you can make it in the comments, and Paula will answer. Look, man, I appreciate you coming to the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Yeah, I appreciate you inviting me, and apologies for the
All
technical
good, all good,
issues.
all good. We got it. We got it. We made it through.
No worries.
Sure. Take care.
Have a good one.
Yeah. Bye. Awesome, guys. So that was Paul. A very interesting conversation, right? When it comes to the LinkedIn, right? Like again, my goal here is to bring you different guests, give you different opinions, and the actual strategies, especially the last answer that he gave. I'm most likely gonna implement it myself, right? More think on the edge that you have, but using the data. Also, I didn't know that LinkedIn most likely is not going to punish your post if you change the content after 4 hours. Again, so like, see, I learned from these conversations myself. Anyways, so we will see you guys tomorrow at 12 a.m. Not 12 a.m. Okay, like 12 a.m. is too early. Like, so like 12 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. You have a good one. Peace.